Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Esther and my channel is Life with the Day. If you're new here, I do sewing and DIY videos. But before we get into today's video, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. And I know this year hasn't been the best, but hey, let's be grateful, especially for our lives, and let's hope for the best for the upcoming year. So moving on into today's video, this is what we're going to do. This is the front and the back. I really love this top and the fact that it was made in satin. You can see that it has ruching at the neckline area and also straps to tie this top. It also has balloon sleeves and I'm really excited to try to make this top with you guys. So let's get right into today's video. So to save some time, I already went ahead and made the bust circle and then drew a line in the center and also put in my grain line. So now what I'm going to do is to take half an inch from the side as always, because I want it to be a bit fitting. If you want it to be a bit loose, then you have to leave that out. And then also at the armhole, I went in half of an inch. And because the shoulder is a bit dropping, you can see that I didn't let it affect the shoulder line. And also from the neckline, I made a contour line, and at the under bust, I also went in half of an inch for a very snug fit there, and then draw the lines to meet the dots at the waistline. And also at the center front, I went in quarter of an inch on both sides of the center line, and then at the neckline I went in quarter of an inch for the contouring. As I already said, I'll put a link up there so that if you're still interested in knowing about this contouring, then you can go into details. So yeah, I'll close the contours, and then at the center front I'll fold in like that. You can cut it out, but I just want to fold it like a dot and then hold it with the adhesive tape. So now draw in your style line at the front through the under bust, because that is where it kind of ends. And then I reduce the length by 1.5 inch, and depending on your taste, you can even make it shorter or longer. So I'll cut that out and then cut out the upper part. I'll separate the upper part from the lower part of the top. And then at the center front of the lower side, there is a seam, and also around the dot area. So I'll mark the center front and also make a notch at where the seam will be. And then at the neckline, I went in half of an inch as well. So to get the fullness at the front part in the center front, I'll transfer the shoulder dot and the waist dot to the center front in order to get the fullness over there. So I'll make a duplicate of that. So one will be for the lining, and then one will be for the main fabric. So at the neckline, I will make kind of a scoop over there and then cut that out and then trace it onto the duplicated one, because I would save one for the interlining, and I'm going to slash one for the outer part of the top. So you would see what I would do. So I'll save the real one, and then I'll make lines from where the scoop is to the center of the dot, or the point of the dot, as you can see, and then slash through it to that point. Don't cut it out. Mine was a mistake, so make sure you don't cut yours out completely. So as you can see, I closed the shoulder dot, and then I'm closing the waist dot as well. So all the dots would be transferred to the center front. and then I'll cut through the lines and spread them out. So this will help create the ruching at the front part of the top. So spread it out on a paper, trace them out, trace the shape out like that. You can use the French curve to help you shape it properly. So once you're satisfied with that, cut it out, and this will be our upper front part and the lower side as well. So add allowances, and yeah, that will be it. So now with the back, we have to close the shoulder dart. So make a straight line to the tip of the waist dart, and then slash through it, remove the shoulder dart, and then slash through to the point of the waist dart, and then slash through one leg of the waist dart to the point, to the bust, to the dart tip or dart point, and then close the shoulder dart like that. And then as usual, draw a line from the tip of the waist dart to the shoulder, and then mark the center. From there, from the center, make a new dart like that, and then cut out the old dart. We'll be replacing it with a paper there to create a new dart. Once you're done, fold it in and then cut out the excess paper at the waist line. And then remember, we took away 1.5 inch at the waistline at the front, so I will take it out here as well. And then at the side, 1/2 inch as well, and then join it to the waist. At the armhole, I went down 1/2 inch. And also at the neckline, 1/2 inch. And remember to add zip extension to the back. I already did mine. I added 1 inch of zip extension. So for the sleeve, I'm going to demonstrate it to you with this small scaled sleeve, because the big one is really hard to show you on the screen. So we're going to use the slash and spread method. So make lines in your sleeve and then slash to the top like that. Don't cut it out, and spread it out. You can spread it as wide as you want, depending on how much fullness you want. When you're satisfied, trace it out and cut it out, and that will be it for the sleeve. Because this time we only want the ruching around the wrist area and not the armhole. So that is how it will look like. So these are all the pieces we need: 4 of the back, 2 of the front pieces, and 2 for the lining as well. And then for the lower side of the top, we need 4 for each piece. So 2 for the lining and 2 for the main piece, and then 2 of the sleeve, since I'm not going to line the sleeve. This is the fabric I'll be using. It's a poly satin. You can use a dasher's satin. That's also fun. That will be really nice. But this is what I have, so this is what I'm going to use. And I'll be using this cotton fabric as a lining. So now go ahead and lay all your pattern pieces on your fabric. I added the allowance on the fabric, but if you want, you can add it on a paper first. So lay them and cut them out. And then remember to mark out your dots. So what I do is to notch the lower side, and for the tip I put a pin through the tip to the fabric and then mark it like that with a chalk. And lay the other pieces as well and cut them out. Remember to notch where the other joining will be at the front so that you know exactly where to sew it. And for the lining pieces, this is what we're gonna cut: 2 for the upper part of the top and then 2 for the back pieces. So now go ahead and sew your dots on both the outer piece and the lining piece. And then press the dots flat. Remember to always press whenever you make a seam or you sew something. It makes it look really nice and neat. So press it. As you can see, it's looking nice already. And then I turned in the zip extension as well. And then I use the zigzag stitch to finish the raw edge. If you have a serger, you can use that one, and did same for the lining piece as well. So what I'm going to do now is to fix the zip. And if you're going to use an invisible zip, remember to fix it upside down. I made a mistake and fixed it like the normal one, and I had to take it out and fix it again. So if you want to use an invisible zip, then fix it upside down. So now I would sew the dot on the lining pieces as well, and then I'll make a basting stitch for the ruching at the center front of the main top. So this is how it's looking after the ruching. And that is the lining piece with the dot. So grab two of the threads on top and then pull it. And then if you want to know if the ruching is enough, match it with the lining piece because that is the original length. And then also with this, I'm going to sew in the seams. So do that, and also do that for the lining piece. So remember, whatever you do for the main fabric, you do for the lining piece. So now I'm going to match the upper part of the top to the lower part like that. So remember the notch that you were to make there, that one would match it to the seam over there. So pin it and stitch it. Also for the lining piece, do same. This is how it's looking, and then I join the center front together like that. And then as usual at the curvy area, snip, 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 and then I'll trim the allowance down. So this is how it's looking. Then you can press it or iron it so that it looks flat and nice. Now we're gonna join the shoulders together, front and back, right sides facing, and then also the side seam. Do same for the lining piece as well. Now that is done, we're going to face the neckline. So open the shoulder seams like that and then align them. Make sure the neckline is of the same length. So pin the neckline and stitch it. Whatever allowance you left there, stitch it. So after stitching, remember to make an understitch and press it. Now we have to finish the hem of the top. So what I'm going to do is to flip it and then right sides facing. Just look at what I'm doing, right sides facing, and pin them. Make sure all the seams are aligning. So at this point, this is when we're going to stitch on the zip and cut it out. This is how it's looking. Now we have to finish the that hole around the zip area on the lining. You can use the thread and needle, you can hand stitch it, or you can use a machine. If you want to use a machine, then what we're going to do is to turn it from the armhole. I don't know how to explain it, but let's see if so you see, from the armhole, grab it and pull it out like that. And then together like that, stitch. You're going to stitch both pieces together like that, right sides facing, but stitch really close to the seam of the zipper. You get me? Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, so stitch very close to the seam of the zip, and that is going to finish the zip area, or it's going to close that gap around that place. So this is the outcome. So the top is almost ready. This is how it's looking at the moment. The only thing left is the sleeve. So we would have to work on the sleeve before fixing it to the armhole. So what I'm going to do for the sleeve is to stitch the side and also make a channel for the elastic band. So cut an elastic band which is comfortable around your wrist, and then after you make the channel, we will insert the elastic band there. So stitch the side and then also make the channel for the elastic band. So this is how it's looking after inserting the elastic band. And now mark the center of the sleeve because we have to attach it to the armhole of the top. Open the seams of the shoulders and then attach the center of the sleeve there. To the shoulder of the top like that and pin it. And then pin the seam to seam like that down there. And then try to align the remaining part of the sleeve to the armhole. And then pin it. Once you're done, then stitch it. And then you always know to finish the raw edges. So our top is done. This is how it's looking. Now we have to fade it and see if we are on point. So let's do that.